Hi, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of You Have a Friend in Majula. This is season 2 of Derby's Adventures in Dark Souls, and this season I am joined by a very special guest who is not just a guest anymore. They are officially a co-host. It is none other than the veteran Dark Souls gamer, podcast extraordinaire, academic, published author, and good friend, Trevor Strunk. Trevor, say hi.
Yeah, hello. It's so nice to be here. And the only thing that matters out of all those titles is the last one, the Good Friend. I'm happy to be here for all of Derby's adventures in Drangleic. I'm really excited to revisit Dark Souls 2.
I've been saying Lordran for so long that I'm gonna have to completely mentally recalibrate because we're going to Drangleic this season. We're going through just shifting sands of time to a place where place is weird. With Lordran, time was weird. With Drangleic, place is weird, and also time is weird too.
Time's still weird. They won't let you forget that.
No, everything is weird in Drangleic.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, they definitely like the kind of line I always remember is time moves strangely in Drangleic, but it really should be everything moves strangely in Drangleic.
It really does. And so if you're just tuning in, you will notice that we are doing Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin edition. And this was a tough one. I definitely wrangled with it. I wrangled with it since from the very beginning when I first did the Dark Souls, I started doing the Dark Souls Let's Play. And I was like, well, eventually I'm going to do Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3. And I was like, shit, which Dark Souls 2 am I going to do? And there is an argument to be made for Dark Souls 2, like as close to base edition Dark Souls 2 as you can get. The reason I didn't was, one, I don't own it. On PC, I played Dark Souls 2 originally on the PlayStation 3. I don't own it on PC. I somehow managed to own Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin on PC. So
PlayStation 3 notoriously easy to stream too. Just really great. You definitely don't need 6 little boxes to make sure it goes into your special collection cable or whatever.
I still haven't even gotten around to getting to it, a basic ass Elgato, but I know for the PlayStation 3 it's even more of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, you have to trick it. It's so annoying.
And I wasn't really I clearly wasn't prepared to do that because I wasn't even prepared to just buy a copy of basic Dark Souls 2, which is actually it's still $30 or some shit like that.
Really?
It's not $9. No, honestly, I think Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin is actually a cheaper version than getting base Dark Souls and buying the DLC.
So why don't you I by way of my own sort of wondering about this too, I'm to understand the difference in between the two versions is largely balance issues. They add sort of there's some stuff added in. Obviously, all the DLC is in there. What are the differences, and why is there an argument to go with the original? Because I've only ever talked to people who say don't bother with anything but Scholar of the First Sin.
Right. My argument is that Scholar of the First Sin is actually a remix version. And that I think that Dark Souls 2, the original Dark Souls 2 is the original version. That is the kind of the text. And that I think that Scholar of the First Sin is a reworking of that text. If anything, I would say that Dark Souls 2 is the Berg manuscript version of the Wasteland, and Dark Souls 2 is the Wasteland that we all read in high school.
Okay, I understand that. Okay. So I mean, in a certain way, you're thinking about that makes sense. It's kind of if you're playing, and I'll admit that this is how I've played it. I think it's how the vast majority of people play them. If you're only playing Scholar of the First Sin, you're getting the whole idea, but without sort of that foundation underneath, or that sort of you don't get the vision of like the sketch basically.
Right. Well, I mean, I think the funny thing is, I think you honestly, this is in some ways the more complete version.
Right.
Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin. Basically, people played Dark Souls 2 and were like, I don't get it. And so, like, they went back in and said, okay, we got to just like, we just got to we need to rebalance some things, take all like the accumulation of all the patches for Dark Souls 1 and like, or Dark Souls 2 and like reapply them as like a whole, thing with some new changes thrown in, move some NPCs around, move some enemies around, change the way things like, move, and the way squads group up and stuff like that in
Right.
various enemy groupings. And along with that, they also we're gonna meet an NPC in this that is basically kind of the explainer NPC. He's like the way I think of him is like he's like the annotation. It's like if a human being, if an NPC could become annotation, this is as close to it as we'll get. Like, it is literally like, the clippy version of showing.
I see you're confused.
Like basically it's just like, oh shit, you want someone to explain this to you? All right, fine. Like, so there's an NPC we'll meet who's basically that. And
okay, very good.
He, and like all this did get patched into the original Dark Souls. Let's be clear here. Dark Souls 2 did get all these this in the form of patches and DLC and all of that. And Scholar of the First Sin is basically just kind of accumulates all that into one big coherent package. It smooths it all out a little bit more.
It is interesting though, because you think about like all that effort by From to make the game more accessible, and like there is still like the community is like, okay, fine, that I love that you gave me all that explanation and stuff, but that elevator still doesn't make sense, so I am furious, right? Like there's like the actual reason why people end up disliking Dark Souls 2, and I think that's less of a popular opinion than it was at any other point in history. But like I think people who really dislike Dark Souls 2 still dislike it, not because like it doesn't make sense, but because they found reasons to dislike it that will always, like, they're just constitutive to the game itself.
Yeah. So spoilers, Trevor. Gosh, no.
I didn't say which elevator or why.
we will likely be talking about Dark Souls 2. Trevor and I both played Dark Souls 2. I have played Dark Souls 2 a shit ton. I don't know, Trevor, how much have you
played it more than me? I've only played it once.
Okay, but we have both played Dark Souls 2. It's actually been a minute since I played Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin, so it'll be interesting what I do and don't remember. But
I won't spoil anything that if I can help it. That controversy about the elevator. That's it. There's an elevator in the game. We'll get there at some point. There are elevators in all the Dark Souls games.
It's true. There are elevators in all the Dark Souls games. No, there are some things that we will definitely be talking in with foreknowledge of. I'm not going to no sell, like character motivation, things like that. There are some things. Last time we did do. I had the kill list. And where it was a subtractive kill list, where every time Derby killed a boss, or an NPC or something like that, we marked it off. We kind of slashed through it. Like this time, Derby is going to be keeping a Book of Sinners, and it will be an additive list because there are so many fucking people to kill in this game.
God,
it's great.
The bosses.
Dear viewers, there are so many fucking bosses in this game. It's sick. And there's also like a shit ton of NPC invaders. And there's other just NPCs that we're gonna have to kill. It's gonna be great. Derby is going to be going on an adventure to find herself. And that will involve a lot of killing. So we're going to have a Book of Sinners at the end of every episode that will list the deaths along the way, as well as a kill count, a death count, because we did that last time. Going to do it this time. And, we'll do the little next time. So make sure you stick through to the end of the episode so that you can see the little end caps that I do for all of these.
They're worth it.
Yeah, they're great. And But yeah, so mostly we're gonna do this like last time. We're probably gonna go for about an hour and a half every episode. Dark Souls 2 doesn't adhere cleanly to the go through, like, here's the depths, and then you do Anor Londo, and then you do this. It is much more winding than that. So it won't kind of break evenly that way. I don't think. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. So we're just gonna go. We're gonna have time. We're gonna explore Drangleic. We're going to meet its people, and Derby's gonna kill so many people. But the big reason we're doing Scholar of the First Sin is because I wanted to make sure that I had the most possible chance to have invaders and summons and messages.
Smart.
I want, and this is the Dark Souls fandom, the community have all moved on to Scholar of the First Sin.
Correct. Yes.
And so I wanted to be able to play online, and I wanted it to have the potential to matter. Soul memory, the way things changed, they changed things in Dark Souls 2 for connectivity that fuck everything up, and it sucks. That is definitely the worst thing about Dark Souls 2. But I wanted to have the most chance to have invaders and things like that happen, because I think they're fun, and I think they're part of the experience. And so
it's actually. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
This is something I've never thought of, and it's a little bit half baked, but I'm kind of interested to see how it evolves throughout our play. I'm realizing that with the system you just described there, Bloodborne gets a lot of play as this was supposed to be Demon Souls 2, and there's certain coding elements that sort of suggest that there's stuff in there that you can look and be like, oh yeah, look, it's the last chalice dungeon is named something that looks like, etc. It's interesting, but there's a really real way in which Dark Souls 2 is actually Demon Souls 2. I hadn't thought about it before, but I'm suddenly very committed to this idea that in fact the ideas that make Demon Souls so unique and strange are very similar and sort of connected to the way that Dark Souls 2 is interesting and strange, even more so than Dark Souls 1.
Yeah, I can see that. There's
definitely, I think that Soul Tendency made me think of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that the various, because Bloodborne and Dark Souls 2 were developed basically in tandem.
Right.
The team that went off of they made the DLC Artorias of the Abyss for Dark Souls 1, and as soon as they wrapped that, they started in on Bloodborne. And then another team started making Dark Souls 2, and Miyazaki was flitting between the two of them, from what I understand.
Right.
So there's a lot of weird cross-pollination. There's things that borrow forward. There's things that kind of look backwards. It's gonna be interesting. And last time, Trevor and I will probably pause and talk for have a podcast instead of an actual let's play from time to time, as we're doing now. And that's
Derby will tap her toe, watch her,
and we might get invaded while that happens. Who knows?
That'd be so good.
Yeah, it would be sick. So I think we're ready to start this. I think that's enough preamble. So let's do it. Let's go and check out Majula. Let's find out about Dark Souls and Drangleic and see where Derby is at.
So excited.
My controller died. We talked so long, my controller just was no, we're done.
I'm gonna save some battery.
Nope, shit. There we go.
That's the sound I love to hear.
Okay. Oh,
better accept some terms.
You gotta accept some fucking terms. Are you really gonna make me scroll through all this before I can accept?
It's a contract. Yeah. Whoa.
What's Bunga? I've seen a lot of Bunga.
Bandai
Namco Games of America, I guess. I don't know.
Sure, yeah. Games America, yeah.
There we go.
I'll never agree to anything from Bandai Namco Games America.
There is no new information. Beautiful. Okay.
All right, check our settings.
Full screen.
Yeah, that all looks high quality character rendering is such an interesting setting.
Yeah, I just actually realized something very funny though.
What?
Hold on one second.
Like on tenterhooks. I don't know if I should talk.
Oh yeah, no, you can keep. There we
Oh,
go.
all right.
I was. There's nothing I hate more than the way the Windows audio interface works.
Ah, yeah. No,
Yeah,
it's terrible.
because all the
My
sound from Dark Souls 2 was being routed to my speakers.
yeah, my sometimes when yeah, I don't know, if the computer's on for too long or it decides that it's sick of me, it makes my speakers go away and I can't choose them as an audio device. Just Windows. Baby, we love it.
Yeah, so it was interesting. Let me make sure. Yeah, okay, there we go. So now OBS is doing everything correctly. Okay, there is no new information. And there's our sound properly. It's interesting I can't adjust sound here. No, there's no new information. This is just...
I love it.
It's just video so far. That's interesting. Okay, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna do a new game now. Let's start it. Okay, yeah, blood always on. Subtitles on.
Yes.
Brightness. We're actually gonna bump brightness a little bit so that it doesn't like look like shit. When YouTube compression hits it. Okay.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And look, people love to see the monsters. They love to see all their gangly faces and weird teeth and stuff.
Yeah,
that are also kind of like tentacles.
I'm gonna turn the voices up a little bit just so we can make sure we got those good voices, sound effects. Turn the music down a little bit. Just yeah, it should be good. We'll adjust it as necessary.
There's a great video of one of the voice actors, I can't remember which one, playing this game.
Here we go.
I'm so excited.
Perhaps you've seen it. Maybe in a dream. A murky, forgotten land. A place where souls may mend your ailing mind. You will lose everything once branded. The symbol of the curse. An augur of darkness. Your past, your future, your very light. None will have meaning, and you won't even care. By then, you'll be something other than human. A thing that feeds on souls, a hollow. Long ago, in a walled-off land far to the north, a great king built a great kingdom. I believe they called it Drangleic. Perhaps you're familiar. No, how could you be? But one day, you will stand before its decrepit gate without really knowing why. Like a moth drawn to a flame, your wings will burn in anguish, time after time. For that is your fate, the fate of the cursed.
So good.
So here we are, and here, I love how I was like, oh shit, the graphics card is flipping out. No, it's
I
just
thought so too.
all these little slick other people. So yeah, so what did you make of the opening cutscene there, Trevor? Because there's a lot of cool shit going on there.
I love it. I love how so just initial impressions. I love how the woman in the chair and her face melting like milk and all that just looks like a video by like Live or something like that. Like it's very good. It's very like a some sort of music video that I watched and felt a little unnerved by when I was like 10 or 11. So I'm really into that. I also think like the coolest part of this game to me is how it rejects a lot of what's going on in one and is just like, no, we're just gonna make it like a fairy tale now. Like it's gonna have the witch. There's going to be the sewing wheel, spinning wheel. Excuse me. There's gonna be like repetition again, but it's a totally sort of different kind of feel. Like there's nothing in that cutscene that feels like it would make sense in Dark Souls 1 other than like the skeletons and maybe the whirlpool. But it is this retelling. It's fascinating. I love it. I love that intro so much.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I love about is so you know the crone with the spinning wheel and the slow reveal with there's the spider, and of course the spider, you know, is you know, mirroring with the spinning wheel itself, you know.
Right.
But that is actually from God, is it Throne of Blood? I think it's
the Kurosawa.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it's from Throne of Blood.
That would make sense with the Macbeth. I mean, there's a ton of Macbeth in that too, right?
Yes.
Like just the crone giving you your fate without giving it to you. Like the idea of like the moth to the flame, drawn in, you'll die again and again. And yeah, I mean it's true that there's those elements there, particularly in terms of like, you're cursed just like you are. You have the dark mark of a sort, and like you're a hollow, and all that is true. But it's not the same fate that you're expecting. In much the same way that happens to Macbeth. If anyone hasn't read Macbeth, he gets a vision of his fate, and it does not turn out the way he thinks it will.
It's true. One of the things I think is also interesting is the way it really highlights almost like the way there's the great story about how Miyazaki was fascinated by all of these kind of fantasy books and books of mythology and things like that in English that he only kind of partially was able to understand because he didn't speak English that well, and so there's like just kind of gaps and fractures and but like so what it's doing is it is taking this it is a game of telephone almost with the original Dark Souls and much of the way myth and folklore kind of are remixes themselves and palimpsests. This curse, the dark sign in this one, it is a curse of memory. You forget what you care about, you forget who you love, whereas in the first one it was when you go hollow when you lose your purpose, and here it is the hollowing itself is a loss of connection to yourself and others. And so it's kind of, it is similar to what the curse was in the last one, but it is also different from it in some kind of stark ways.
Yeah. And, like in so many ways, like these games really, kind of do this wonderfully. Like there is the way that the game itself and the way it's structured kind of mirror this, right? And this is a way that it's not like Demon's Souls, where like the central hub, as you'll see, dear listener, you'll see that the central hub is not as sort of like, I would say it's not as iconic or as sort of like immediately recognizable as, say, like the Nexus in Demon's Souls or the bonfire in the Great Bonfire in Dark Souls. It really is. It feels disconnected, distant, weird. It's on that cliff. It just feels kind of empty and sparse, and like that is something that is very much a place where someone who is facing a crisis of connectivity would have as their home base.
I think it's interesting that this is Things Betwixt. So Things Betwixt is literally a liminal space.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and this game is not scared to just like give you these spaces and say like, yeah, okay, there's like this isn't, and this is something that drives people nuts about this game. But I think it's its best quality is that like there is no one-to-one connection between a lot of things. Like in the sense of the imported hood. That's so great.
Continue.
Oh no, I'm sorry. That actually speaks to it, where like it is imported from another land. But yeah, but it's liminal, and it does not give you any sense of like, okay, like why are we here the way we're here right now? Like what are we? Where do we come from? Why is this not Lordran? Why are we in this between place? And the game's just like, I'm sorry, like you're just here and have to handle it. It's so good because that's exactly like it's the same kind of thing we all love about that story that Miyazaki tells about fantasy novels and growing up with half translated things. It's the thing we love about your various Tolkiens and stuff like that. But like it's also very uncomfortable, and I think something that when people experience for the first time in a while are just like, well, what's going on? Tell me, please give me something to hold on to.
Exactly. So here we've crossed this weird rickety bridge. We've come through. First, we appear in a clearing in a gazebo.
It's a wonderful gazebo.
This is like this like strange like Grecian effect dais. And then there's these weird long stalactites and stalagmites just growing up that, like, you know,
So good.
they're almost kind of like the arch trees in Ash Lake, but not quite. They're just these strange, weird, rocky growths that shoot straight up, and some are hanging down. And then there's like these broken like fir trees and stuff like that around too. This is just a weird, and we're inside some kind of cave structure.
Right.
We went down a giant ass Charybdis. I love this. There's so much imagery involved in like the opening, and it is like kind of like a very like, you know, like late 80s, early 90s music video where it's just like, let's just throw imagery at the viewer.
Oh yeah.
And like, you know, like you know, like in kind of a Lynchian sense of, we can just put visuals on the screen and make, you know, like they will come to have meaning in the way in which they are combined and recombined in the audience's mind, and not like inherently, you know, having meaning from their like juxtaposition themselves.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it, because like it is in many ways like a kind of like literary scholar from that era's dream, where you can be like, oh, there's the apple, which might symbolize you know, the first sin, original sin, and then the mother and the baby, well, that could be Christ and Mary, or it could be the player's mother, and then turning to milk, well, that is the forgetting, but it's also the source of life. And like, it is that sense of like, you can toss anything at the wall there. What I really like about this game, and why I think Lynchian's a really good term for it, where like, you know, people will throw that around, I think you really like use that quite precisely, and I think you're absolutely right. Like, just like Lynch ultimately has like a point he's trying to make, like even if he's being sort of like coy about that, being like, oh no, I don't have any point, like it's all, you know, it's crazy. There's always a theme, right? Like Lynch is going for something. This game is also going for something, and I think like the thing it's going for, particularly in that scene, is like giving it's that sense of a lack of purchase. It's impossible to grab onto what's going on. It gives you nothing, and I think like intentionally so. It gives you so many things to kind of like use as thematic holds that you can't come up with anything cogent.
I mean, even to this point, like here is kind of a hanging spit with just bones, just these weird long femurs, just what?
Alien femurs.
Just what?
Yeah.
It clearly, what purpose does this serve?
It's like a xylophone that Daffy Duck would play.
Yeah, and then it's outside
very good.
This like treehouse, and you know, we're gonna proceed into this treehouse because it's the only thing here.
Yes. What seems to be the ruckus?
Oh my, your face. The face of the curse.
It's an undead. An undead has come to play. They all end up here. All the ones like you. You spoke to that kind old dear, didn't you?
You're finished. You'll go hollow. Yes, you'll become one of them.
Hollows prey upon men, feast upon their souls. This is the fate of the cursed.
What is your name?
So, another thing.
Jesus, it starts with a D.
I think that one of the interesting things there is the how much more dire and kind of sinister the hollows have become in this transition. You know, hollows prey upon men, in the first one, it's kind of the hollows are kind of pathetic, and it's like we feel bad for them. Pathetic in the true sense of the word.
Yeah, they're a fate that you want to avoid. Don't go turning hollow, right? Says our friend, the depressed man. I always forget his name. The Crestfallen warrior, Crestfallen soldier. Yeah, says don't you dare go hollow, right? Here it. I think too, like I hadn't heard it before, but like when I've seen the scene before, but this time focusing on, the way that it is it's so fated, right? Like, fate is something in all of the Dark Souls games, and like fighting against fate or choosing not to fight against fate or whatever. But like, in the same way that being born into a hard situation that you have to overcome is like in Dark Souls 1 is sort of like almost a boomer mentality sort of thing. Being born into something that is just like already dead, and then being told that, I'm sorry, but you're also done for, is a very millennial kind of thing. Like you're sort of viewing the condition of being a hollow through two generational viewpoints here with the way these crones are talking to you.
Yeah, and again with the very clear, kind of nod to Macbeth with the three clones that are telling you like your fate with very explicit terms.
Although unlike Macbeth, they're kind enough to just say like, "Oh, you're screwed. Like you're done for." Yeah. There's no way out for you.
So I think we're sure of our name. It's Derby.
We remembered it.
Oh, at least you know your own name. Here's your reward for sharing. It's a human effigy.
Take a closer look.
Who do you think it's supposed to be? Think back, deep into your past. Yes, it's an effigy of you.
Maybe the most horrifying thing of all time to be handed an effigy of yourself.
Dear God, especially one that's just like formless. It's that one. I think the thing I love about it is that it's kind of in the shape of like a humanity from Dark Souls 1. But then also it's returning to the motifs that you and I talked about quite at length during Dark Souls 1. It's the root structure, the growth, the kind of like, wild, chaotic growth. And we could see clearly it had that gnarled, burnt structure in the center of it that was indicating the dark sign, which we saw like on Derby in Dark Souls 1 when we were hollow. We had that kind of twisted, spiraling, root structure kind of growing out of Derby's chest. Yeah. Which I think we'll see again here. But so let's see. We'll start with class. And so for this playthrough, we're gonna do hex build because a lot of people don't do them. They're a little more involved just because the hexes are a form of dark magic. They existed in Dark Souls 1, the dark magic, especially in the end, in the DLC, comes to be prominent. And it's developed here into its own magic system. The thing with hexes is that they, rather than using just sorcery or just intelligence or just faith as the skill, they scale off of the lowest of the two scores. So yeah, and it's a weird system.
It's a cruel system.
But I think that, and like so hexes also use a lot of attunement slots. They use multiple attunement slots per spell, and some use souls to cast in particular. So like it's a more involved form of spell casting. But I think it's interesting and it ties into the dark, and you know, in the last one, in Dark Souls 1, Derby was a character who started off as a priest and abandoned the faith after realizing that it was kind of bankrupt, and then slowly was having like everything just kind of like losing their faith in everything. It was just slowly just kind of crumbling. The monarchy failed Derby, and then sorcery failed Derby. All these things started falling away until Derby was just kind of left and trusting in the stasis of the dragons, and then walking away from the flame and plunging the world into a world of dark. Dark Souls 2 doesn't necessarily have a connecting point from Dark Souls 1. It is a sequel, right? But like, you know, did the flame get linked in the previous one? What is going on? Like, there's bonfires in this one, clearly. So there's flame, there's time. Time is, you know, confusing and weird, but there is time. So like, Dark Souls 2 is not really a sequel in the sense of like the way people understand sequels, I think. And that's why, you know, like I think I link it a lot to kind of like the way Arthurian, like, you know, stories get told and told over again, and like the Chanson de Gestes and things like that, where it's like someone heard a story in like, you know, 10th century France and was just like, that's cool, I'm gonna write my version of that. And then like, you know, 200 years later, someone else comes along and it's like, I found all these cool old French books, I'm gonna rewrite them. And like, I'm gonna tie in all these other characters from these other books, and like now like suddenly you've got like this weird, you know, like Chrétien de Troyes, like, you know, cinematic universe, just built out of like, you know, various like, you know, Arthur legends, and then like, you know, the like Carolingian legends and things like that.
Yeah, no, it has that quality of just like it feels piecemeal in that way, but like piecemeal in sort of like something that is lost and then halfway found and then lost again and found halfway again. I mean, I think your example of the palimpsest is a really good way of thinking about Dark Souls 2.
Right, like that is my go-to for Dark Souls 2 is the palimpsest concept.
For anyone in the audience who doesn't know, the concept of a palimpsest is as if, it's your concept. Why don't you tell them?
No, you go for it.
Okay.
Did you
So
talk?
palimpsest is essentially like if you took the example I always use is if you took a piece of paper and wrote on it, right, and then erased it all, and then maybe wrote on it again, or just gave someone the blank piece of paper or whatever. That sort of first thing that is now occluded and unable to be fully recovered, but perhaps can be sort of like half interpreted, both, you know, rightly and wrongly, existing under the current script, is what we understand as a palimpsest. It's something that is sort of at the, you know, fundamental core of meaning, but can never actually be recovered.
Yes. So it is, you know, Dark Souls 2, you know, another way to think of it is kind of like a layers, like kind of an archaeological understanding of a text, with the kind of meaning becomes stratified, you know, literally kind of in a geological sense, where, you know, if you erase bits and pieces of it, suddenly, you know, there are multiple layers of text on top of one single text.
Right.
Where some pieces break through and some pieces have receded, and you know, we end up with a new text that is built up of like layers of craft. And so I'm thinking about Derby in those senses, and that's why I'm like, you know, we're gonna start as a sorcerer because mechanically that makes the most sense for Derby to be, you know, the hexer that we're going to turn Derby into. So in a way, this is like, you know, kind of the way like Arthurian legends, you know, kind of bounce around, and Arthur is, you know, at various points in times at various different types of people, and, you know, sometimes, you know, the way like kind of Merlin emerges and, you know, and recedes, and the various characters are not always fixed in time and structure,
Right.
and they take on the purpose that they need to take on at the time. So
There's also go ahead.
I was just saying the continuity with Derby from Dark Souls 1 here is kind of conflicted and convoluted, and not necessarily, and is a palimpsest itself for viewers at home who are like, wait, Derby is starting as a sorcerer, but Derby hates magic. Derby killed all the sorcerers and imprisoned Big Hat Logan. Yes, that's true, but that was a different story. This is a new story.
This is a new story, yeah. And I think like the quality of like storytelling here is also, to sort of like link it to something a bit more modern fantasy, is like, again, I don't know why I have Tolkien on the brain. I don't usually think about Tolkien, but like, not that it's bad too, but it leads to certain problems. But the idea of, you look at something like The Lord of the Rings, and it has like a fairly standard, arc or whatever, and then you look at like Tom Bombadil. It's like, well, what's that about? Like, who's that guy? Like, why is there this man older than the hills who's like more powerful than Gandalf or something? What's happening here? Why aren't we getting any explanation? And that kind of like iterative version of storytelling where the connection is never fully fleshed out. That kind of anthology version of thinking about time and place and, epic. I think that's something that Tolkien takes from the way myths used to be told and iterated upon and changed over time and used for whatever situation they need it to be. And I think in this case, like, we could even say, like, Derby is in some senses a monomyth of Dark Souls, or represents the monomyth of Dark Souls. Like, she just is what she needs to be in the world she's in, and what Derby needs to be right now is a sorcerer.
It's true. I think it's a very well put. I forgot how just like the character creator in this was so much more kind of weird and like almost like making work, like it is much more like Bandai Namco anime game.
Yes,
than
absolutely. Hormones.
Oh yeah, this is look, From Software is From Software.
From Software pulling a real Atlas right now.
But like,
you hate to see it.
It's just like the structures that happen here are very strange. So let's be very feminine. So
when you're feminine, your cheeks get bigger.
They get real wide. Form emphasis. This was this is one of those things where it's always really problematic. So as you get stronger, from what I remember, you become much more. Holy shit! What?
Wow, that's terrible.
Oh my god!
Whoa, Derby. I really don't understand what the understanding of strength is. That is, when you're strong, you just get hydrocephalic, I guess. That's wild.
With strong color emphasis.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, it just turns you into like an Argonian from Oblivion.
Yeah, you're now the lusty Argonian maid.
There's 5 options for skin color here.
Just like in the real world, right?
Yeah, we are actually gonna just Derby's is gonna kind of be.
As we know, unless
involved.
you're doing like a naked build, which is fun. It's fun to do sort of like a deprived or something, but like you're gonna be covered up.
It's true.
Like, most of it.
So this is Derby now. And we're just gonna go with that. And I'm choosing the bonfire aesthetic.
I was gonna ask about the gift, yeah.
So there's a number of gifts, and there's 2 really good options. Like, I guess there's 3. The Healing Wares one is pretty solid. Like, you get some good stuff out of that. The Homeward Bone's kind of worthless. Seed of a giant tree. Seed grown from a tree of giants. Inedible. I think that's a PvP thing. Bonfire aesthetic. Toss in a bonfire to raise the strength of nearby foes, only for those who seek greater challenges. The bonfire ascetic basically puts a section of the game into New Game Plus, which is, makes the game more difficult, but it also brings bosses back to life. And there are at least a couple of bosses in here that we kind of want to fight a second time, because in New Game Plus, things actually change a little bit for Dark Souls 2. It's a little bit, it's kind of a dick move, but also it is, because like you do have to like play through the game on New Game Plus in order to see the whole thing, and the game gets harder.
Executive producer Yoko Taro.
But like, God. But one of the things that is interesting is when you kill enemies enough times in Dark Souls 2, they stay dead. They do stop respawning after a point. That is a big change from Dark Souls 1. The bonfire ascetic actually undoes that. In New Game Plus, if I recall, enemies do just keep respawning permanently.
Is the bonfire ascetic something that was added for Scholar of the First Sin? Because I feel like that was something that was a real point of contention with Dark Souls 2, that like enemies stopped spawning.
I don't know if it was added, and I think it might have been there from the beginning, but it is an interesting way. Like the bonfire ascetics, they are one of those weird ways in which From kind of does start dabbling in how do you control and manipulate the kind of the difficulty of the world on an individual player level, kind of diegetically rather than through a menu driven, like, kind of change the slider to make things easier sort of way.
And that's a really good way of thinking about it.
Because like, the thing is like, basically like, okay, enemies keep respawning. It's, it's like, I keep dying on the boss because I make it to the boss and I'm finally out of Estus flask, or like, I can't save my Estus charges before I get to the boss. Well, if you do the run enough times, eventually you just won't have enemies on the boss run. So like, it does allow you to kind of clear a path to the bosses. Right. And then you can just kind of challenge the boss with your Estus flask. That sort of thing. So it
can't think of a time that we were playing the game. I definitely, there was no time where I was guesting in the Dark Souls 1 stream where that would have been handy. Totally not.
Right.
Can't ever think of a moment where that would have been helpful.
God. But it's still like one of the best episodes we ever did.
True. Yeah, that too. But I had a blast. I felt bad for you.
Yeah. So the bonfire ascetic is just going to allow it. Having one just on hand makes it so I don't have to go and find or buy one later. The other gift that's like worthwhile there is the petrified something. A simple petrified lump. It may be of some use someday. These are weird little pieces of crap that you give to someone and they give you something else. We'll see them later. But for now,
it's a real fun Legend of Zelda kind of thing.
But for now, here's our derbs. This is our derby.
Love it.
And,
I love it.
Our beautiful white daughter. And now off to... This is your true self.
Wow, that's a big question.
It was a very big question.
All people come here for the same reason. To break the curse.
You're no different, I should think. Doesn't stand a chance. Well, you never know. Go through the door and trot along to the kingdom.
But remember, hold on to your souls. They're all that keep you from going hollow. Oh, I'll fool you no longer. You lose your souls. All of them. Over and over again.
You'll lose your souls over and over again.
I hate being laughed at by a room full of old wizened women.
Yeah, especially when they're right.
Yeah, no, absolutely correct. 100% correct. It reminds me of that tweet someone did a long time ago where they said their greatest fear is to be roasted by a group of Philly teens. Where just walking out in the, like bum ass tie old head. Like, I gotta go sleep for 30 years. Like, it's being laughed at by these women is the same kind of feeling for me.
It's true. Okay, so we've got our staff and got our dagger and got our little mage robes.
Any good descriptions on those?
Yeah, let's take a look at what we got, just because. A standard
right.
dagger has only modest attack and short reach, but can be jabbed in rapid succession. With a powerful critical attack, this is a potent weapon in the hands of the capable. The dagger actually kind of rips because you can just roll around behind someone and just stab him in the back and get that good backstab damage.
Nice.
Sorcerer's staff. Nope. The first staff for most sorcerers, a catalyst for sorceries and hexes. To use sorceries, attune a sorcery at a bonfire and equip a staff. The strength of the most sorceries is affected by the caster's intelligence.
But as we know, that's not us.
No,
not just.
Yeah. For now, it looks like we are starting out with some sorceries. So, okay, let's take a look at the imported gear on it. Traveler's tunic won't provide much in the way of protection. The cursed souls who wander the lands have a strange way of ending up here, as if drawn from afar by some force. And let's see. Robe worn by hollow Drangleic mages. Drangleic mages wore different garb depending on their sex. What function this served, however, is unknown, as with many old practices. This is a woman's robe. So...
I like how the game, we saw it with the Crones saying you'll lose your souls over and over and over again. I like how the game is very much describing the way the action of playing a video game as something unavoidable, somehow deeply troubling and hard and dehumanizing that just happens to you. You're drawn afar by some force. And the force is the game itself or the player. It's unclear.
Yeah, no, it is unclear what is drawing us in so far. And also we've got these crones here, and then we have this woman who seems to be hanging out.
This is a limbo, a link between Drangleic and the outer world. Fair traveler, I know that you must have a story. Why else would you visit such a place? This lost, decayed kingdom. My name is Millibeth. The old women were once fire keepers. I am here to look after them. It is what my mother did, and her mother before her, and so on. The old women were keepers of the fire. But now, the fire shows signs of fading, and the kingdom is beset by hollows. The old women are sisters. I am told there was a fourth. Long ago, fire keepers were commonplace. But now they are lost, scattered to the winds. The old women are long ago, but now...
So...
Wow, there's a lot there.
Yeah, there's a whole lot here. Jesus. I've kind of forgot that, just how much we kind of get about just the world and firekeepers. So these are firekeepers. Well, I guess these are firekeepers. They were firekeepers, Trevor.
Okay. Well, they have tongues, unlike the firekeepers of some of the firekeepers. I guess some have tongues.
They have tongues, and their eyes are exposed, but their eyes are kind of very bleak.
I mean, they're blind. They're roomy.
Yeah.
And the fourth one might be that one we talked to before. There's an empty chair for her.
There is an empty chair, yeah. And they call her, they referred to the kind old dear. So there isn't an affiliation there, an affection of, even if a joking affection. So
They're
yeah,
firekeeper keepers. We learned that too.
right.
It's like,
And that
and they're Welsh, which is we also learned.
but they come to this space to be taken care of, it would seem. But there's there's 4 of them, or 3 of them here at least, and then there's the one caretaker. But are these just the firekeepers for Drangleic? Drangleic is separated from the outside world by a limbo space. What?
Yeah, is this? Are we talking about like? Is this a demon soul situation where like a choice by someone has caused a barrier to be put up between like this space and another space? It doesn't feel like that. It feels more like this is, if there's a limbo going on, it's just like the way that this world is. But
Yeah.
I don't know why I feel that way. That's just like seems to be what we're getting.
Yeah. Oh, look, another
Steal from
human
them.
effigy. Human effigies in this game are functionally the same as humanity from the first game. Just now they're just little effigies instead. What's going on here? Okay, I wonder if we talk to them. What do they say? Okay. Ah, good. The 3 dots.
That's a perfect Dark Souls NPC.
The JRPG ellipsis takes on a new meaning in Dark Souls.
You must go on a journey without rest. Well, I suppose if you find yourself at an impasse. But if your will is yet unbroken, then you may return here to start again with a clean slate.
Can you remake your character with them?
That is, yeah. So one of the mechanics in this game that we'll get to a little bit later. I don't think we have to get an item first. Is you can come back to the Crones, and they will allow you to reset your stats and basically re-roll your character, which is actually really helpful.
Sure. Yeah, hugely helpful. It's funny, like I know it sounds as if I did not play this game, but I did. I played I think I put like 70 hours into it, completing it it was a while ago, but when I did, and it is a game that has so much in it. So many choices that you can make or things you can do that like honestly, hearing other people's playthroughs of it sometimes sounds like a foreign country to me. Like it's so, in that way, it's so much bigger than Dark Souls.
Yes, it is interesting because like you said, there are choices that you make in this game.
Now
very
go along.
deliberately.
Go along.
That like those kind of those things don't really exist in Dark Souls 1.
Right. Little things like, do you kill this NPC, or like,
Now,
did you
go
go here
along.
at the right time or whatever? But like in this, like very clear choices. Like, do you want to re-roll your stats now, or do you want to open this path or not?
And so here we are.
Oh, all right.
Bonfires are places of respite. You may also light torches on them. So that's another thing mechanic of this game is torches become a thing.
They're so useful.
It's one of those things that's very both like weird and frustrating, and I still don't know how I feel about it entirely, but I didn't mean to do that. Damn it.
Well, now you can talk about life gems though.
Yeah, so life gems. That is a healing item that was added that's different from an Estus flask. And they're interesting in that they take a while to do the heal. They're not an instant heal the way the Estus flask is. You don't pop a life gem and suddenly get a whole bunch of your health back. You pop it and it will kind of slowly refill your bar as it's used.
But it's a faster action.
Yeah,
too.
it's a much faster action than drinking from an Estus flask. So this game really does set up kind of an interesting thing where you have kind of multiple ways of healing yourself that you kind of have to make use of both. One is the actual health gain is fast, but the cast time of it is slow. And then the other one is, it's a heal over time, so it takes longer for it to kick in, but you can pop it off real fast. Small, smooth, and silky stone. Interesting.
Some sort of crow is going to
I can't imagine that someone who likes something soft and smooth.
I've never played a FromSoft game. What could this be for? I do like, since it's also in the news, I think I'm going to end up picking up my copy tomorrow, but since Atlas is also in the news for SMP5, it's funny how much FromSoft and Atlas games, like, once you've played one and kind of get an idea of, like, okay, what are these items for? Like, the strangeness of getting a small and silky stone in this game is way lessened if you played the first one.
Yeah, no, it's true. So there's some giant-ass footprints.
I like those. They're great. Got some sort of, like, big guy. Derby can't be, like, super confident about this situation.
So there's this big dude.
This is an extremely mean opening for the game.
It really is. This is a much faster cast than Oh.
Yeah, he'll get you.
So this is a good time to put the life gem into play. So you can see I can move on doing it.
Yeah, that's the other thing. That's right. Oh, the backwards fall. I never got the hang of that. These things got me till the end of the game with the backwards fall.
I got really good at it at one point. Not here, though. It would seem. Hell yeah.
Oh.
Whew. Good job, Derby.
Good work, Derby.
And we got a stone ring. He was hanging out over here. Is there, what's that? He was
He must have been eating
his
that
body.
guy or guarding it, yeah.
Gold pine
resin.
The gold pine, we didn't actually, for some reason, despite my doing the faith building, never really ended up bothering to put lightning on the sword as much as I did.
Probably, we could do that this time.
Yeah, you might end up doing that. But yeah, so gold pine resin.
Is 1,000 enough souls at this point that you want to go back and use them? Oh wait, nope, I forgot how the mechanics work.
Yeah, I forgot how it works, huh?
I did. I'm so forgetful.
So
We didn't get that option at the old bonfire, did we?
It's true. We didn't get that option. But we got a ring, so let's see what that ring does.
Yes.
Because this is actually kind of a neat ring. Additional reduction of enemy poise. So this ring kicks ass. I actually really love.
Yeah, no, I had that ring equipped the whole game.
It's kind of great because you can fucking just stun motherfuckers with your sorceries because it works for sorceries too. And there are a lot of the hexes really kind of hit like trucks, so you can use them.
It's such a great New Game Plus ring too. You're not going to go there if this is your first time through the game because you're kind of following the linear path until you get to the. I mean, maybe if you played Dark Souls 1 or maybe if you're used to them, but then at this point you're still kind of doing New Game Plus. But if you know the game, you're like, oh well, there's a thing back here, and you get it there. It's such a good first ring to have.
Mm-hmm. So another interesting thing here is the notion of travel is already on the bonfire, and we have this kind of little grid that shows us where all of the bonfires we can travel to are. It is just how bonfires work now. And it will be for how they go forward is bonfires.
People were really upset about this.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the way the world works in Dark Souls 2, I think it makes sense. I don't think it makes sense in Dark Souls 1, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. There's something much more, I don't know, like disjointed about the world of Dark Souls 2 that like
Yes.
traveling like that makes a little more sense.
And that is the thing.
Whereas
people did hate that about Dark Souls 2 and still hate it to this day.
Sure.
They don't like the way the world is not, quote, interconnected the way it is in Dark Souls 1. It's not like, and there are YouTube videos you can watch where people will show you the ways in which all of the pieces of the worlds connect to one another, and then Dark Souls 2 is much larger, and it is much disconnected. It kind of maps out weirdly compared to Dark Souls 1. I never had that problem. Like, maybe it's because my first From game, my first Souls game, I should say, it's not my first From game by a long shot. From goes way back, y'all.
Oh yeah.
But my first Souls game was Demon Souls, and so like, that was a game about warping between zones, like,
Oh, totally. Yeah, you have a home base. There are 5 places you can go.
Yeah.
Once you get to the checkpoint, you're not really going to go back from the check. Yeah, exactly.
Like so, and like each one of those was like, even like the kind of the way it broke those up into like kind of different like kind of themed sections.
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
1, 2, it's just like, you're running on a bridge. What? Okay, sure. So it never really bothered me. Like, I just felt fine. And honestly, having to do some of the runs from like one zone to another in Dark Souls 1, no, the warping.
Did you find yourself looking forward to warping? Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, oh god, please just get me the fucking Lord Vessel so I can make part of this better. But so we can't travel from here just yet. But so this is like a weird space in this witch's house, and then with these trees that are inside of the tree. Because remember, we're inside of a tree again.
Very, very Hansel and Gretel vibes, like a forest inside a forest inside a forest.
Yeah.
This one is much more Brothers Grimm, I would say, than any of the other Dark Souls games.
It is. Yeah, it definitely is. And so we're going to come out into this space over here, which, we're still kind of in this, like, kind of, like, it's wood, it's tree, but it's also weird and rocky. It's like there's these arch trees almost with these fog gates. And then there's this chasm.
Oh, man. So many fog gates.
Yeah, so we're going to just start going through these fog gates and seeing what's up.
Got to.
All right, so we're in a tunnel.
We can do nothing else.
There's dudes.
I don't like this.
And so these are our tutorial stones. Instead of Dark Souls 1 gave us like messages, and here we get just tutorial stones. So they want us to use their attack weapon, but why would we do that when we've got magic? Oh man, didn't actually.
That's why. Oh.
Yeah.
I like that for this game where like things are much more I don't know, like it feels progressed in a certain way. Like the hollows are more like zombies, they are more dangerous, they are like attacking people and are a threat. That like you'd erect stones to tell you how to handle it, as opposed to sort of like hastily scrawled messages.
Yeah, and the stones are kind of neat.
I like them.
You've got this kind of like, almost like cuneiform writing on them.
Yeah, there's a very kind of, I don't know what writing that's trying to. Cuneiform is absolutely, I think, like correct.
But then we've got this little brazier here, this like little torch that's not lit because we didn't light a torch.
Better go back and light that torch.
I don't recall that like there anything comes of it. I don't remember.
I think they stay lit.
Yeah.
So you can kind of mark your path. Can you light them on non-bonfires? Like, could you light it at that torch?
Yeah, you can light them on any fire source.
And I always forget the torch mechanic, how it works.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. So there we go. There we go. And now we've got 5 minutes. And this is the way torches work in this game is they have a timer about how long they will burn. This really shows off just how kind of like overgrown the inside of the space is.
Yeah, for this Let's Play, I think the torches are going to mechanically be able to let us see what the areas look like.
Yeah. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, damn, sucker. Stab his punk ass, Derbs.
Oof. Yeah, that's brutal. He didn't stand a chance.
So the interesting thing is here is when you put the torch away, it goes out. And so here's an interesting space down here. Look, there's this beach. And this guy over there making gurgly noises. So there's one of those big hippo-looking dudes down there. This really just gives like, you know, it's very kind of like this Ash Lake sense, you know.
I love it.
It's weird because it's like kind of Ash Lake, but it's also like the bottom of the New Londo ruins where like you have like that kind of crack in the like kind of domed rock structure, you know, where it's like you're almost like inside of a flooded geode sort of feeling.
And there's also that like melancholic quality of the guy the enemy just looking out like that. It's very much more sort of human in a sense than we get from its monstrous form.
It didn't actually get the backstab on there. What is it? Oh,
that's weird.
Bumper. I was using R2.
Don't forget to light the torch. I want to see what happens when you light them all.
I don't.
Nothing. Nothing will happen.
If I remember correctly, nothing actually does happen, and I don't know if it was one of those they had planned something to do. Originally, in the very like kind of like the version that they showed off of Dark Souls 2, it was much darker and torches mattered so much more, and like people are very mad still about the change in lighting between the release game and.
I mean, personally, I can't believe they nerfed torches. It's a real problem.
You know. What up, buddy? What up? Oh, you can.
Oh no, my stone! I didn't know that could happen.
I didn't know that could happen either.
That's cool.
Look at that. Can I read it now?
No,
it's broken. We'll never know.
Dark Souls 2, don't hide your light behind a bushel basket like that. That's such a cool mechanic.
Yeah. Wow. That's so neat.
Neat. Yeah. There is one place I remember where torches mattered, where like it was a very dark area.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get there.
We'll get there, but
it's back Derby just cutting motherfuckers up with this knife. Oh, son of a bitch.
They're using tactics.
It just made me think of the one book that always shows up in all of the Elder Scrolls game, Mixed Unit Tactics.
Yes. It's the perfect.
It's just like that. I'm just like, oh, like yeah, like fucking book in all of the Elder Scrolls games, Mixed Unit Tactics.
It's an important book.
It is an important book. And it's really funny because it's one of those things where it's like it feels like it should give you a skill up, and so you just kind of always immediately grab it, and then it's like, no, it never gives you a skill up. Hey, what's this?
Oh, I don't know. If only we had some sort of.
Smooth. Yes, you. Give us Silky.
Okay, well we've got Silky
and Smooth.
We've got Smooth, yeah.
Oh wait, read it first.
Oh. The shine of this stone is no ordinary polish and can only be achieved over a long period. Some in this land are in search of such stones. Okay.
I like it.
I'm going to leave this here for them. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So nice, so smooth.
So nice, so smooth.
Yeah.
So nice, so smooth.
Silky smooth.
Okay, we got a bleed stone. These are random, if I remember correctly.
Yes, you. Give us Silky.
Do we have? I think we can leave other things. I think a human effigy will work.
You. Not like
Nope.
that.
Okay.
No, you.
Oh, damn it.
Not at all.
Okay, fine.
You, give it smooth.
What if I leave? What if
Yes, you! Give us silky!
Oh, that leaves all of them.
Yeah, I don't.
You don't want to do that. Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
Next time we have smooth or silky, we can leave it for them.
Yeah. That's mostly what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to bring them petrified things and smooth and silky some things. And they're all happy about that. Wait.
Ooh.
That's right. I almost forgot. I can't believe I forgot about this. Every time. But so now our torch is gone. Like I put it away.
Horrible.
But
Well,
it's,
I won't be unreasonable. You don't have to keep lighting stuff.
like I could keep doing it. I could keep lighting.
I mean, you can if you want to, but I'm not going to be like draconian about it because that would just make me the worst co-host in the world.
Yeah.
Because like you're like talking about something interesting. I'm like, did you see that? Did you see that torch?
Go light the torch.
Yeah.
Go light it.
We don't know. Maybe something will happen if you do all of them.
I think honestly, I think I like the idea of it not doing anything almost more than if it actually did do something.
Yeah,
simply
totally.
because it is that like that weird it's the, you know. There's a really good Dark Souls podcast, Bonfireside Chat.
Yeah, Bonfireside Chat's excellent.
And Gary from Bonfireside Chat, who's a great guy.
Been on the podcast. Been on No Cartridge.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
How did I
Gary's
miss
really
that
nice.
one?
That was ages ago.
I'm gonna
yeah,
have
it
to
was.
go find that.
Yeah. But go ahead. Sorry.
But Gary had a really great point at one point about like, you know, the way in which Dark Souls protagonists kind of are, and like I completely understand exactly what he's talking about here, because I'm the kind of person that does this too. But it's like Dark Souls really does the thing where like if some, you know, you see like this, Gary was like talking about like, you know, when your GM says like, you know, oh, there's a chalice on a table, and the you know, one of the players says like, oh, I pick it up, and you ask them which hand they use. And like, not that you're gonna do anything with that ever, but that like, because you have given that, like that, you put that option into the world, now that they're going to think about that for fucking ever, and it's just going to stick with them and be like, well, shit, what if I used a different hand, you know, like. And I think that's one of the really great things that Dark Souls does, is it is constantly kind of, you know, giving you that like, which hand are you going to use to pick things up? Oh shit. Oh, phew.
Ooh, I thought you were done there.
I totally
The jumping mechanic in this game, infuriating.
Yeah.
But that's okay. It's okay. There has to be something infuriating in a video game to make it timeless. Fast climb.
Yeah,
very
the
cool.
fast climb is really funny though. Okay, so we're up here. Look at all these messages. You can parry with the shield equipped. We don't have a shield. And
all
we
right.
can do the plunging attack again with the right bumper. And
Sure. Yeah, of course.
And let's take army with guard break.
Huh.
Oh. This is it's like the fuck you jab. Okay, cool.
I like that. All right. Well, you should probably do a plunging attack.
I mean, yeah, but I could also just shoot him with sword.
Well, yeah. No, you're right.
But no.
I leave it in your capable hands.
Boom.
Not as powerful as swords.
No.
As sorcery.
Soul arrow is so fast in this one.
It's so good.
Like that's
It's a little
really
OP.
satisfying.
Yeah. Jumping attack.
Whoops! Something over there just died.
Yeah. You got it,
I
souls.
got its souls. Yeah. Wait,
Oh.
is there a dude in here? No? Okay.
I would have to assume there is. Oh, well, there's.
Now we got a cracked red eye orb, which we know as the invasion mechanic orb.
Yeah, we got a
which
PvP orb.
is right off the bat, like right in this little room. I wonder if can you invade just like from right in here and just be like, fuck
that
you,
would
buddy?
be so cool. That'd be so funny.
Nope.
Well, do you have to? Oh, yeah, you're human, so.
Yeah. So we keep walking in and out of these
on.
fog doors, and there's something weird over there.
So disorienting to walk in and out of the fog doors.
It really is. Like I think it's a kind of a really brilliant way of. One, I think this space does tutorialize it very well. But I think also, like,
No.
God, can't believe shit.
I forgot they were also in this game.
Yeah, which like again,
so
like
unfair.
it links this space back to the Great Hollow, Ash Lake, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which in itself is its own kind of liminal space between the Ash Lake where kind of the flame first emerged and the rest of Lordran where everything kind of happens. So there's this going on here. Statue blocks your way. So that is actually
we'll figure that out later.
If I remember correctly, that's new for Dark Souls 2 because in Dark Souls 2 or in Scholar, the original Dark Souls, you can go down to the beach right off the bat. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I like the statue blocks your way mechanic because I'm a complete like Metroidvania pervert. So it's like it absolutely hits the right button for me, where I'm like, ooh, I have to find an item. That's the only way I can get through here.
No, like it the Metroidvania aspect of it is great. These are really like attractive looking rocks. Like, they did a really good job with the rocks in this game, I think.
I think it's very brave of them to have so much vaginal imagery in one place.
They really did. That's Miyazaki.
They just went for it.
He just Well, we're
Well,
talking about...
I don't know if you know this, but he read Berserk in the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Miyazaki, he loves his Berserk.
Yeah, the only comic to ever use vaginal imagery. Yeah, I think the other really cool thing about using the fog doors and like kind of upsetting the logic of this place a little bit is, again, like this game is clearly made after in a way that Dark Souls isn't, right? Like Demon Souls was a cult hit, but I would not say like a hit in the sense, oh, is there something up there if you climb that ladder?
That's the ladder to expect to this silky and smooth.
Oh, okay. But like, Demon Souls was successful, but not successful in the way Dark Souls 1 was, right? Like Dark Souls 1 was like a huge hit, mega hit. And so this game is absolutely, playing with expectations of, okay, a lot of people have played the game before this. And so like if you go in all cocky, there's a million fog doors and all of a sudden you are on alert. You're just like, why are there all these fog doors? Are these all bosses? What's going to happen?
Yeah.
And then like the area confuses you and it's hard to track. It's pretty brilliant.
Yeah. And then you get this fucking torch mechanic that's just kind of out of nowhere.
Right.
And all of these little like, oh, well, I guess I have to light all the torches, and you can't. Like, I have tried so hard. Like on my first run through, it is like next to impossible to light all of the torches.
Oh yeah, I'm sure someone has.
Confidence. Sadness ahead. It's true. There's always sadness ahead. Try bravery, therefore keep moving. Yeah. And clearly we've been invading because
oh my!
Look at this. This must be like a PvP arena.
Yeah, this must be an arena. That's really cool.
You know what? Fuck it. Let's do it. Derby. This is a new kind of derby. Oh no, we can't use it. Huh?
I guess we have to. Probably have to do something first.
Try defeat and then hurrah, for dwarf. Okay.
All right. Good.
Hurrah for death. Bloodstain, and then bloodstain. Bloody expensive.
Good.
Like a dream. Yeah, it is like a dream. Hurrah for victory. Good for them. Victory ahead. Try counterattack. Okay, sure.
So sweet.
Light.
It's a very good message because that is exactly what you should be thinking at this point.
Yeah. Don't give up. Good luck. Praise the sun. Look at that sun. And here we are.
Oh,
In
Majula.
Majula. We're on the outskirts of Majula at the moment. But look at this. This is, you know, we come out of this crack in a rock wall, having been through a giant tree, talked to some crones, and then we're greeted by this blinding sun.
What I love about the sun in this is how it stays blinding. Like it never, like so many games would like resolve the sun. Like it's like, oh, that's so blinding, and then it sort of like, you know, resets and it's normal.
Yeah.
But like whenever you look at the sun, it's still so bright.
It's not a good sun.
No, and like on purpose. It's a cruel sun.
But like, it's one of those things where just like you walk out of that dark space and then boom, you're hit by that.
Yeah.
And it's a great, like, they really managed to pull that one off so well.
Wonderful effect.
And then you kind of
even knowing it was coming.
Yeah, and this
great
whole
effect.
blanched landscape here, like it's not good. Like, you know, you're coming out into the sunlight and like, you know, there's a coastline and this water is just weird. This is probably my favorite water in like any game.
It's great because it uses, so water in games never looks good.
Mm-hmm.
When it does, it's like, oh wow, they made the water look good. But eventually it won't. But they used the fact that water doesn't look nice in games. And like, we're like, well, what if we make it all slow and goopy and weird and like distorted and strange? Yeah, that'll work. That'll be cool. And all of a sudden, just like, it's perfect. It's an incredible effect.
Yeah, no, it's really good. It's like it's just kind of, it gives you this sense of time not being right because these waves are moving in a sense of time that is like, you know, it's like liquid glass.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's a really good way of putting
Like,
it.
They're moving kind of like hot glass instead of water, which we know it's not glass, so it must just be because time is not going.
Now we don't know for sure it's not glass.
It's true. We don't know for sure it's not glass. There's treasure ahead.
Time could be going really fast.
And there it is. There's the handbells from the handbell choir from hell.
All handbell choirs are in some sense from hell.
It's true. Divine blessing. And he should have used it.
Yeah.
So, this wrecked wall on the outside of town. And then here we are. Here's Majula.
Giant monolith over the giant obelisk over there. I love that. Monument to nothing.
Yeah. And here we are. And this is probably, I think this might be one of my favorite hubs in all of video games. I think it might be my favorite.
It's gorgeous. It is absolutely, I never get tired of looking at Majula.
And so I'm gonna read, because like I wrote a piece for Paste a while ago. It was actually one of the audio logs.
Oh, okay.
Because I did 7 great video game songs of Home and Sanctuary. And so I'm gonna read, you know,
I'm gonna tuck in. This is nice.
yeah, so here we go. Let's start with the kind of the intro roll. Sometimes the rolls come up hard and fast and it's too much, or they're far enough in between, but the tabular contents are just unnecessarily unfair. Speaking about kind of random tables representing kind of God's punishment and weirdness, the things that happen in our life, calamity. It's why we have towns, Inns, save points, safe zones, moments for peace and restoration. A zone where the mad simulationists step away from their study and torment and allow us a chance to breathe and reflect. Sometimes you have to bring a tent or a cabin or make your own in the wilderness of cruel dice rolls. They're fantasies of comfort in a realm of digital dangers. I think it's safe to say I have a fairly specific but expansive definition of home here, but it set me on a path of thinking about all the ways in which the fantasies, half-remembrances, and longing for sanctuary have been evoked in video games throughout the decades. All the ways home and safety could be communicated, and even the ways it's been problematized and complicated. Home, safety, respite. It's never that cut and dry, is it? And I listed a couple one, but then the very last one I put Majula. And so you're gonna just this is my thesis for Dark Souls 2, basically. This is what I think of when I think of Dark Souls 2. And so kind of the setting out point for this journey that we're going on, this is mine. Majula is a special place, and Motoi Sakuraba, alongside Yuka Kitamura, has created a theme befitting and enduring as this broken, endless village. I could say if you know, you know, and most people wouldn't fault me. It's a home, after a fashion, for all of those who fell into Dark Souls 2. We know it, and even if we don't necessarily love it, we respect its purpose and are grateful for it. It's not the ancient, lush ruin that Firelink Shrine is. It's not ancient at all. How can it be? Except that it is. It's complicated. It's completely unstuck from time. Well, almost. Time happens here, probably. Definitely differently. There is movement, after all. Activity. Not a lot. Just enough. Ocean waves swell against precipitous cliffs, but never really crash. Undulating against rocks that hint at lost landmass. A bonfire crackles. The sun is wrong, weakly spectral through haze and cloud. It blooms around structure and through trees with diaphanous glare, casting long shadows in an eternal afternoon or early morning, maybe midday, but no, it's definitely afternoon. It could be night for all it matters, though. The phrase Dark Night of the Soul arrives to us from the 16th century Spanish mystic St. John of the Cross. It describes a sense of complete abandonment of spiritual connection to God. Desolation. Completely alone. There's a handbell player struggling with a simple melody at the heart of Majula, a harp-like music box, and the searing of strings just barely above the surface, like a record playing too low at the other side of the room. An occasional drum and a growl of horn. Melody breaks down. The center cannot hold. Harmony becomes dissonance, becomes piercing, like the circular saw that excised Majula from geography and time into a spatial and spiritual liminality. Whatever place meant for Majula before, it's different now. Not that before matters to Majula, and it shouldn't to you. All that matters is this is home now, where connection breaks down and signal becomes noise, becomes silence. Majula offers stillness, a respite of melancholy. Majula is not even close to the best of all possible worlds. That's out there. There are paths to them, maybe, but it's not for you. Not now. Majula is where you need to be sometimes, right now, for a while. Maybe you'll venture out into the world beyond this unbound binding, but you'll be back here, though. Maybe sometimes often, depending on how life goes. And there are others here, maybe friends, neighbors of a sort, people as unstuck as you. This is a sanctuary for whom sanctuary has been denied. They'll come and go, shuffle feet, maybe speak words. They're the same as you, even if their struggles seem different. Take your time. It's okay to be here. The rest of the world is waiting. Recovery isn't linear or as expected. If you find your way to Majula, it's because you needed to. If you find yourself back in Majula, it's because you needed to. Let the bells wash over you like the weak sun. Take comfort in it. Majula isn't a place where hope doesn't exist. It's a place for when hope seems at a distance. There's a comfort in just knowing it exists for us. So that's my
Well-
Majula. And I don't know. I think a lot of that we have brought up already. We talked about the sun and the waves, and here's a
Well, yeah.
bonfire.
There it is. No, I was gonna say I can't add anything to that. That's yeah, that was lovely.
So here we go. We found our first bonfire, but we don't level up at the bonfire.
What? No.
No, we don't do that this time.
I guess we just don't level up.
Here's a strange kind of bodily structure rising up from that rock side over there.
Oh yeah.
And
That's
there's-
very strange.
There's all these you hear the rocks. I love the rocks just in the water, just kind of, you know, they're almost defensive looking, like they're keeping Majula and like keeping Drangleic at a distance from whatever is out there.
And something is out there.
No, there's always something
Maybe.
out there. There's the larger world.
Maybe.
But then here's someone. Hey, lady.
Are you the next monarch? Or merely
Probably
a pawn
not.
of fate? Bearer of the curse, I will remain by your side till this frail hope shatters. Take this with you. May it ease your journey.
And so there we get our Estus flask
Perfect.
from this strange woman. Do you know
Go
who is
on and
doing
see
the
the
voice?
king.
I
He
forget.
who made Drangleic what it once was.
Who is it?
He who peered at the essence of the soul. King Vendrick.
So you may level up by the power of the Emerald Herald. So I like that we get that as we find out her name.
Yeah.
That is actually Ruth Nega.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really funny. You
Oh.
drop that on people and they're just like, wait, what? And I'm like, listen to it and you can hear it. So yeah, that is Ruth Nega as the voice of the Emerald Herald.
Bearer of the curse, seek misery.
Yes, it is. I didn't know
For
that.
misery will lead you to greater, stronger souls. You will never meet the king with a soul so frail and pallid. Seek those
I like-
whose names are unutterable. The four endowed with immense souls. Their souls will serve as beacons. Once you have found them, return here to me, so that hope will not fade away.
You were gonna say?
Oh, I like that they bring back the idea of the monarch who ruined the entire land because he got too interested in things. Right? Knowledge corrupting. Vendrick saw the essence of the soul and destroyed Drangleic as a result.
Oh yeah.
Or so it is implied at this point.
Yeah, so we've got like Vendrick, you know, being tied back to King Allant from Demon
yep.
Souls,
Love him.
very specifically. I'm trying to remember if they do imply at all that like Gwyn is of that nature. I know, you know, Gwyn he founds large cities and he, you know, like does all of that shit. He becomes like,
Sure.
you know, a king, but there's no like kind of like the fixation with like soulcraft the way Allant did.
He doesn't seem interested in like knowledge. Gwyn seems interested in dominion.
Yes.
I mean, Allant does too, but
Yeah. Like.
Yeah.
But.
Bearer of the
Vendrick
curse,
is a different story.
seek souls. Larger, more powerful souls. Seek the king. That is the only way. Lest this land swallow you whole, as it has so many others.
The thing I like about the Emerald Herald is we show up and there is immediately, you know, she has like the immediate parasocial connection to us. You know, like
That's a good way of putting it. It is parasocial.
There's
isn't
such
it?
a, you know, kind of sense of like, you know, like kind of an intimate understanding of who we are and like this like kind of assumed friendship almost. I guess friendship is not really the right word, but it kind of is. Like there is an affinity that she has for us that is unwarranted in like terms of how we know her.
Right, and it's like if what the Crones tell us is true, then we're to understand that a lot of Hollows have come through we're not the first and we won't be the last. And they all want to do this. But she's just like, oh, so you're the one who's going to go see King Vendrick. They're like, here's how you're going to do it. Either she does this to everyone that comes in and lives a terrible life, which is possible, or she is a fondness for us that we haven't earned.
She just keeps having these like intense bonds, and then like season 2 of the true crime podcast happens, and she's just like, oh, you changed formats, I hate you now.
What happened to that person that I grew to love so much? Now I don't care about their death anymore.
God. So we've got some souls. I think we should see if we can level up here and see what's going on.
That seems like a good idea.
All right. So,
well, if our intelligence and our faith, if it scales on the lower of the two, I think I know which one has to get higher first.
True. Right now we've got to have to do that. There's actually one thing I do want to look at real fast, because we're not going to be using the dagger forever. Okay.
What?
Yeah, no, I know it's weird to think about, but we're not going to use a dagger forever. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually I'm going to kind of get our strength and our dexterity up, because I want to get those to where we can use a certain weapon that we'll be finding eventually. Because right now we can hold our own with our intelligence and our faith. Like we don't have any.
Yeah.
We don't have hexes yet. We're on our path to become a hexer, and I'm not going to do the thing where you become the Uber hexer in 10 minutes thing. That's not how we're playing the Let's Play. Huh?
There is something like that?
Yeah, you basically, you cheese a boss, and then you kill an NPC, and then you like bring the boss back, kill the boss again. You get a bunch of souls. You pump your intelligence and faith to 20 each right off the bat, and then you go meet a dude. You get like a super weapon from him, and then like boom, you're basically set for the game. Because the thing is, because intelligence, because of the way hexes work, you don't actually have to invest super deep. Like if you're a sorcerer, you're pumping int like all the way up to like 40, 40 or 50. Right. But with hexing, you're only really putting them both at like 25, 30. I think 30 is the cap for hexes.
Interesting.
And like there's like some other weird stuff the way the game works. Like adaptability is a stat we're gonna have to deal with, because in this game adaptability impacts your iframes.
Yep. I put a ton into adaptability.
Yeah, like that
that iframe.
That is a thing. Thankfully for us, intelligence also increases your agility, where it says AGL in the middle of the screen there. So we're not going to have to super, or is it attunement? Is attunement? Attunement also increases your agility. Attunement also increases your spell slots. So hopefully we'll be able to avoid putting pumps into adaptability just for the sake of putting points into adaptability. But yeah, agility controls your iframes of your dodge roll. The other interesting thing about Dark Souls 2 mechanically is your roll distance is determined by your weight. It's not, your the speed of it stays the same until you end up like fat rolling, of course. But like, it's how far you roll. Not so like
how fast.
Yeah, so I think, let's see, I think we're probably like as light as it could probably be, but yeah, so like that's a pretty far distance.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's interesting because it can get you into trouble a lot. Like it's definitely gotten me into trouble more times. Oh yeah, I have flown right off cliffs. So yeah, we got 2 sets of imported trousers.
It's kind of rough.
But let's while we're here, we've actually got a bunch of, since we got these souls we can munch. So we might as well munch these souls. Get maximum pointage. Okay, now let's talk.
Bearer of the curse, seek lest this.
we're going to be hearing bear seek last quite a bit. A running joke about Dark Souls 2 is bearer ... seek ... seek ... less ... because she says that every time you talk to her.
Yeah, we don't need to hear it every time.
Yeah, you don't need to listen to the whole thing. I love the way that they contextualize the quest, which is like the most basic ass, like, okay, there's like 4 world bosses, you got to go kill them, and then you're probably going to go have to kill this king, like.
Right. No,
it's
it's super straightforward.
It's like, okay, you're going to need a bunch of souls because you're going to need to level up. You're going to need to get like these big souls because they're important. Just like last time, last time you put them in a big pot. This time, I don't actually remember what we do with the big souls this time. I like the notion of seek misery because misery will lead you to the big souls.
It's very true.
Like, yeah. It's really interesting because we will find out specifically what those big souls are. Not just yet, but we will. And we will find out just how miserable they really are. But let's try and level up. And I want to put some points just into strength. Okay, I can do. Okay, well, there we go.
Oh, okay.
You get 2 points.
I mean, that makes sense. Got to get it high enough so that it's not just,
Because I can't be using this dagger forever, and like it's great, but I am just not the player to use a dagger like as a main weapon.
Is this a dagger I see before me? Dia says, no, it is not.
Say no.
It's not a dagger I see before me.
Visions of Arena. Okay.
Oh boy.
Nope. It be like that.
It do be like that.
Front ahead.
What?
Front ahead.
Front ahead?
No.
It's
got 6 message.
That's nice.
Saint ahead.
Saint ahead.
Oh,
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like a saint, yeah.
Like a dream. By the way, this place again.
They read your article.
Okay. So there's a whole town here, so we should probably kind of start taking a look around. We could walk up there apparently.
What? I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, you can walk up there. There's all these structures over here. I wonder if anyone's in these structures.
No, certainly not. Why would that be the case?
It's a giant pit.
I will say I was obsessed with this pit. I did that 30,000 times.
Oh my god, it's beautiful.
It's so funny. Well, it's so tempting. There's a soul there.
I love that it triggered all 3 of them at the same time.
I relate to those 3 guys so much.
That's that guy. Oh, he went over there to do it. Nope.
Nope, won't work. You gotta have better fall resistance than that.
I am obsessed with these sculpture, these little statues.
They're fascinating.
Oh, hey, Derby.
Derby's like a golden retriever. Right there.
Right there. Yeah, no, I love these 3 statues so much. When I was in Slovenia, I took a photograph of it. I'll see if I can find it somewhere. They had like these just like on the sides of the street, and like I was like, what are these weird little like parking barriers? But with like these like weird like carved face like kind of figures. Is it
meant? I mean, in Slovenia, I don't know if it in this game it doesn't obviously, but is it meant to be the Virgin Mary or?
I think they were like the ones that I saw were these ones. I can't tell if these are supposed to be the 3 Crones or not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I would believe it even more if there were 4 of them and the one was on its side.
Right.
I like that the one that's on its side looks like it's smiling.
Yeah.
It looks beatific.
Mm-hmm.
The other 2 look, yeah.
But they've got those kind of there's strange blank eyes that sculptures sometimes get. Hey, Derby, Jesus.
Hey.
And then there's
toss that barrel down the well. Get it down there.
Nope.
Oh,
Fuck that barrel.
So it goes.
Well, here's a weird little house.
Beryl knows what it did.
Gotta be someone in this house. No, there's a cat in this house.
You can talk to it though. Love this cat.
Oh.
So good.
Undead, are we? One without much time remaining. Just about ready to fall apart, I'd say. Not exactly the time to be chatting with a cat. Well,
Rude cat.
suit yourself. Oh yes, you may call me Shalquoir. Enchanté. So, what did you want anyway? Ooh, you smell wonderful.
So this is Sweet Shalquoir.
Shalquoir, absolutely the name a cat would make up for themselves, by the way.
Right? Like,
oh, my name? It's Shalquoir.
yeah, so Shalquoir is a much more cat-like, less threatening cat, in appearance at least, than Alvina from Dark Souls 1.
Yes.
Shalquoir just kind of looks like just a big cat. Whereas Alvina looked just kind of like an extremely lethal Cheshire cat.
Yeah. Shalquoir, I mean, yeah, it's as much a cat as any cat I've seen in a video game.
Yeah. That being said, though, I trust Shalquoir like none. Like, of all the characters in Dark Souls, Shalquoir, who's just sitting there, who's like, you smell like fucking beef jerky, bitch.
Listen, Shalquoir can't do anything to you.
It's true.
Shalquoir is wrong about you falling apart. Don't listen to Shalquoir.
So Shalquoir, we can buy things, and we can abandon a covenant here, or I guess we can talk about covenants. No, we can see our covenants from Shalquoir. What does Shalquoir have to sell? Shalquoir's got a bunch of rings, and some homeward bones.
A skull.
She's
Nice.
got. The cat collecting bones is weird, but just the cat's like I like shiny stones and like the alluring skulls.
It's really on point. That's what cats do.
And then
a lot of good rings.
A ring of the evil eye, the silver cat ring that reduces damage from falling, a red eye ring, easier to be detected by enemies. This is really fun if you do a lot of co-op.
Okay.
And putting the red eye ring on and making like a tank build.
That totally makes sense.
It actually like kind of rules. The thing that is like the thing that makes me the most upset about Dark Souls 2 is the inclusion of soul memory, because it makes multiplayer so difficult. But like there are so many cool ways to like Dark Souls 2 has like the most build potential, and it also has like some of the coolest items like the red eye ring that make like PvP and co-op so interesting. That never fucking works because of soul memory.
What an amazing choice. Like, oh yeah, there you go, there's another one.
Yeah. And that it makes it easier to connect to players who choose the same god. Because there's no password connection in Dark Souls 2, if I remember correctly. So this is how you have to connect if you want to.
So many bad choices.
Yeah, it's just weird the way they do things. You can hear the voices of foes. Actually,
it's interesting.
I don't actually know what that one does. But yeah, so there's neat items here that Shalquoir's got to sell.
This place is already dead. Everything will crumble and waste away so that something new may be born.
Not Shalquoir, though.
Isn't it wonderful?
Oh, Shalquoir. Shalquoir is such a drama, such a
This place is
kid.
fascinating. We receive only the most peculiar visitors. Folk like yourself. It's enough to keep even a cat amused. Are you going to see the old ones? Those four who have grown so incredibly ancient. They must have sprouted quite a thick coat of moss by now. For heaven's sake, no one even knows their names anymore. Imagine that.
I do think it's funny to
Yes,
think about the like
nothing like
extremely
yourself.
old souls in this game
You
that grow
have a
moss.
most pleasant scent.
Mm-hmm.
It grows
very
nicer with
funny.
each passing day.
I love
Okay, I
the
know Nito, but I know Nito's name, but so he can't have a coat of moss. But if I lost it, moss all over.
yeah. It's interesting. Like I do think that's interesting. Like the game does not like bombard you with names. It's not like right off the bat like, oh, here are the 4 dudes that you have to go and kill, and their names
Right.
are blah 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 blah. Like no, it's like they're so old, no one knows what they're called. They're just old people that you got to go kill. I think it's also
Or try, yeah, and it's
Yeah.
also they're so lost that they're just like, oh, you're gonna try and find them. All right, well, I don't think you're gonna succeed. So
yeah. I like it. Shalquoir is like really it's kind of like
Nothing suited you, I presume.
the sense of day.
Well, that's
you
dismaying.
get better smelling by the day. Like, what passing of days, bitch. Yeah, Shalquoir is a charmer. I love the concept of like each passing day. What their day is not passing here.
no, yeah, it's and like at the same point, like everything has to change and break away so something else can be born. Nothing's being born.
Yeah.
Nothing's falling away, really.
Damn it! I gotta stop doing that.
Can you sneak in from the other side?
Yeah.
Around those boxes.
There we go. Oh, good.
Oh,
These
yeah.
are
Okay. You made it up.
good. There we go.
How are you going to defeat the 4 nameless ones when you're beaten up by a 10?
Tent. Yeah, let's see what's going about this side of this hell.
Ooh,
Look at this.
what we got here?
This is the Victor Stone.
Oh, interesting.
Offer all stone.
We don't have one.
What's the covenant? This will set you upon an arduous path. Okay to join this covenant? No. Bye.
I don't like arduous paths.
That like basically I think it just sets the game to New Game Plus like right off the bat. If I remember
Oh,
correctly.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like the equivalent, like it just puts the game into hard mode. Which again, another like weird way of like modulating the difficulty of the game.
And you don't feel like you want that.
I don't really feel like I need that now. Comfort. Someone just really likes this tent, I guess.
I
They
get
should
it.
Come hang out in here. Yeah, like it's a good place to hang out.
The amount of bloodstains in Majula is very strange.
Yeah, it is. There's this guy.
Who are you?
I like this,
Oh,
like,
it doesn't matter.
orc.
Just help me open this door.
Well, he's hollow.
I packed my tools.
Oh, you're
in
right.
here,
Yes.
seeing it was vacant. But now somebody's gone and locked the door. I'm a blacksmith. I'm nothing without my tools. Bring me that key. Chop chop.
Climbing through the window.
I'm a
Yeah.
blacksmith. I'm nothing.
There's
without my
100 ways to get
tools.
into this place.
I know.
Bring me that key. Chop chop.
There's
Door-
that window. There's that window.
The door is a suggestion.
Yeah. No, it's very interesting that like he is stymied by the locked door. Also that he found this empty building and he was like, oh, there's no one here. I'll set it up as my workshop. Okay. So he brought all of his tools and like all of this stuff and like set up this workshop in here and then left, and then someone locked the door behind him.
It's so good.
Like, what?
Who did that? Why would they do that? And they didn't take anything?
No, and like, it's such a weird, weird thing.
I like imagining that as like how you describe like theft or ownership. Like if someone broke into my house and didn't take stuff, I could be like, well, if they left stuff, it's mine now because this is my house.
I mean, I think that's how it works, though.
Is that true? If someone leaves stuff at my house, it's my house, or it's my stuff. Yeah, all right.
I mean, I know Judge Judy would say yes because I've watched enough Judge Judy episodes where she was just like, "You didn't get it from his house. It's his now."
Judge Judy knows the law so well.
Judge Judy really knows the law so well. Oh, look at this guy over here.
Oh, it's my friend. I know who this is.
He seems so unhappy.
You're undead, aren't you?
So
You
familiar.
have that distinct scent, the smell of irreversible fate. This is Majula. It is a kind of settlement, a place where life is almost normal. And in Drangleic these days, there are very few places like that. I am Solden. And like you, I lost everything. And now I'm here. You probably heard that it was possible to break the curse here. Well, that's not true at all. There's nothing here for you, me, or anybody. Do you know much about souls? Even I'm not certain, but I'm told that the soul is the essence of life itself. Anything living, sentient or no, supposedly has one. What we call the curse is traceable to the soul. Do you see what that means? To be alive, to walk this earth. That's the real curse, right there. We undead will never die. And that's quite a predicament, really. There are 4 beings in this land with giant souls. And wherever you go from here, you'll sooner or later come up against them. Each has a powerful soul and a terrible curse. If that frightens you, then you ought to just give up right now, like I have. Do you ever cry out for help? The journey of an undead is long and treacherous. You'll face invaders from other worlds at every turn. If you need help, why not proclaim faith in the Blue Sentinels? When you face danger, the Blue Sentinels will come to your aid. Protection is yours, if you wish. You need only accept their kind embrace.
So, we have gotten our first covenant from this really strange, sad guy who says invaders will come for us and that if we join the way of the Blue Covenant, we accept their embrace, they will protect us. So why not? Why not? We like protection.
Sure.
You know, got nothing, no other better options right now. You know,
This guy seems like he's quite a protector.
He really does.
That is a wise decision. People are weak, but the Blue Sentinels watch over us in their benevolence. Let the Sentinels cradle you in their embrace.
Sentinel sounding terrifying.
Yeah.
Do you feel lonely here? It suits me just fine, as I've nothing left anyway. It will grow on you, this place. Give it some time.
He really has
a gesture.
Yeah, he has a lot to say. We get the welcome gesture. Just a surprising amount of
yes, so much.
from Crestfallen Salden.
Do you see the way beyond the bonfire? That will take you to the forest of the giants. There was once a great fort, but little of it remains. You may just find something there that will be of use on your journey. But don't venture too far inside, or you might not come back.
No.
Hade's Tower of Flame lies beyond the far gate. In the cathedral, the Apostles of Blue gather. But the road leading there is perilous. The gate is rigged with some contraption. But how it works, I just don't know. Have you seen that pit, that gaping hole in the earth? I don't know what it's like down below, but I wouldn't suggest trying to find out. Besides, you'll never make it down there. Not without a ladder of some sort. The flame you see there is a bonfire.
Boy.
They exist all across the land, beacons to we undead. If you are tired, try resting beside the flame. The flame heals us. Long ago, a woman called a firekeeper watched over each bonfire. She kept the flame lit and guarded it from those who would extinguish it. I wonder where the firekeepers went. Did you notice any letters on the ground on the way here? These are messages that have jumped the fissures between worlds. In Drangleic, the flow of time is convoluted. Things shift and waver, twist and turn. Poignant wishes, dashed dreams, the messages convey our very inner thoughts. If your will to soldier on falters, try leaving a message. Somebody out there is sure to listen. You may notice symbols that appear on the ground.
You could have
These are summon signatures. They call upon spirits from other worlds through the schisms in time. If you fear hollows, find summon signatures to call upon spirits to help you. Do you see the way beyond? There was once you.
Okay. So.
Wow.
May you
that was
find
a
peace
lot
on your journey.
Yeah. Wow. Salden is just full of just everything.
Great lore, honestly.
Yeah. I
love this part here. Yeah, the soldered over part.
Yeah. And then on this side. Okay, so let's see. How many tens places is that?
That's 503,610,737 deaths worldwide.
That's so many deaths.
It's a lot.
503 million deaths. That's like
a whole lot.
That's a whole lot of deaths. So Salden really puts all of the mechanics that like you kind of need to know right off the bat into context in like a really interesting way. It grounds it in the metaphysics of the world. He's, I like that he is both the crestfallen, soldier from Dark Souls 1, and he's also got, kind of bits of Solaire to him. It's sort of this.
Yeah.
He's not just, kind of a character that's there that exists, purely to kind of like explain the way the game works to you.
Not to bring a different game into it, but like I feel like the way that they do the Crestfallen soldier in Dark Souls 3 is like I feel it's not as successful as this, let me say. Where like this feels like it's the Crestfallen soldier, but within this world. Whereas in 3, it feels like, oh, we got our friend the Crestfallen soldier back.
Yeah.
Like you don't need the Crestfallen soldier again. It's okay that he's gone. It's like much more interesting to see someone new.
Yeah. No, I liked that Salden is given a name even, you know, like,
yeah.
He's got a name, which is a weird thing for that type of character. And then what's in here? Oh, look at this guy. He's sitting on the ground. Miscreant. Let's see what it's his deal. Hey, buddy.
Hello there. Welcome to my shop. I'm Morlin, and I sell armor. Oh, sorry, Please do have a look at my wares. I could really use the business. If you'd be so kind.
So this is Malin, the armorer, and he could use the business, and he could use, you know, a little bit of understanding because he's just got some social anxiety, you know?
It's tough. It's tough when you have a shop in the middle of a dying town, and you also have social anxiety.
And you're selling armor.
Base armor too. Just like the first armor.
Falconer armor is sick. I think I rocked that like almost like for at least like one or two playthroughs, just all the way through. That's pretty
cool. Yeah.
I do hope I see you again.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming back. Do take a look at my wares.
See, you're making Wallen feel comfortable.
I came from the west, from Volgan. Have you been there? It's a lively place, vibrant with trade. Very competitive, of course. And you have to grease the wheels to get anywhere. But I didn't have the funding for that, so I left home in hopes of striking gold. It's been years since then, and I've made very little headway. I don't even know why I'm still here. Everything's all run down and dying. It's terrible for business, really.
So I love that we get like right now we get, you know, so we're in Drangleic, and you know we don't really get a sense of geography beyond like, you know, the things betwixt exist to keep it from Drangleic from the outside world. But then here we've got, you know, he's from the west, from Volgan.
It's from Volgan.
I love that, like he says it the way it's like, you know, and like this is the thing that Dark Souls does really well is they don't fucking stop to like explain and belabor and provide lore for all of these places, and like kind of
right,
you know, there's no this is not a BioWare game, you know. I'm not going to ever find a codex that tells me the history of Volgan.
Yeah, and you're never going to go to Volgan. There's never going to be DLC where it's like the Volgan DLC.
Yeah, no, I'm never going to go to Volgan. I'm never going to see a map with Volgan on it. No, like he's just going to say he's from Volgan, and you know, he looks different from everyone else. He's dark complected. He's got this silly little hat, you know. You know, no one else in this game, you know, no one else in Majula looks like him. And not that there's many people in Majula, but
Malin is unique.
Yeah. And so we get this kind of sense of the world being much bigger than where we currently are, but it doesn't matter because it's so far removed from our context. It just kind of, it gives us another sense of like how isolated we are.
Right. And also just like Malin himself says, like, you know, I don't know why I'm even here actually. And it is that sense of like time moving on, going faster and slower than people think, not having a choice. We're sort of being fated to be in a certain place.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting that, like, you know, to that, you know, Malin left because it was hard to make a living where he was. You know, you have to have money to make money in Volgan. You know, we get a sense of like the kind of just the like, you know, kind of corrupt capitalist world that Volgan is. And Malin couldn't make it there, so he struck out. He left. You know, he went to go find a new way to make money, and he ended up here, where it's just dead. It's just like a dying. You know, depending on who you talk to, it is either dead or dying. town.
I also like the implication of like, yeah, you have to grease the wheels to get anything done, and I didn't have the money for that. Just like the idea that like I didn't have the capital to give people bribes, so I had to, move elsewhere. It's such a good way of describing it.
Yeah, it really is.
A group calling themselves the Blue Sentinels have gained much power in Vulcan.
Uh-oh.
You can't even run a shop without their blessing.
Careful what you
say. They claim to be working for the greater good, but it's absolute hogwash.
So that's really cool. Like we've got, we get Salden, who's our bud, who's like, hey, the Blue Sentinels, they take care of everyone. And then we get Malin, who tells us that no, they're actually fucking thugs who charge protection.
So we're part of La Cosa Nostra.
Oh, by the gods, why the hell am I here?
Oh, Malin.
Oh, by the gods, why the hell am I here?
Yeah, Malin, why are you?
Well, I do hope I see you again.
Yeah, bud.
Dual wielding.
That is like the one tragedy, like we're not doing a proper dual wield build. It's like I feel like so much is made of it in Dark Souls, and that is one of the great things about Dark Souls 2 is like it really has so much mechanically to offer just in the combat layer alone. It's really cool in that regard, and it makes me sad about like Dark Souls 3, which is just not as mechanically deep. Like they get rid of hexing in Dark Souls 3.
Rude.
The spells are still there, but like it's locked.
People are going around locking doors in this town. I don't appreciate it. Yes. It's the best.
And we get an Estus Flash Shard right off the bat.
Love that.
What's back around here? What could...
Oh no. Oh no.
I fucking love this. Like, why is this a thing? Why did someone think this is something that should happen?
Those things are so irritating.
Little undead piglets. They really are. They're really annoying. So yeah, those are just undead piglets. Why are they here? I don't know. But
I
undead
died so
things,
many times.
but this is an interesting thing, right? So like, okay, we gotta reset so they don't come over and try and kill us, because they'll do that. Those are undead piglets. They're undead. How did piglets become undead? Like, we're told like, the dark sign is the curse of humanity, and that's what causes like, humans are the ones that become, hollow and things like that. But those are
to the soul, right?
But here we get the no, things have souls, and soul is what is the connection to the curse. So we get an expansion of the curse, which is just fucking cool. And so that's why now we've got undead piglets.
Well, and you also get like that doubt, right? Like, are people just saying that it's only humans that get cursed because they like can't think about it more deeply, or they're still putting humanity first, even though humanity is like a dead scene? Like, is that what's going on, or is this deeper, or what? It casts some doubt on the Crones even, which is kind of like interesting this early on.
Yeah, no, it really becomes a game like very very quickly of like what do we trust? What do we trust, having known Dark Souls 1? Like, it casts doubt on the game you just played, that like the reason you're playing this is now in question. Like,
right.
Everything is contended, like is in contention here. There's one other kind of thing I want to check out. But it was over here. They said there's a treasure over here, and we can just hop down. And look at that. If we hop down, what do we? More pathways to hop down on. And
there we go.
There's someone dead over here. And we get a Morning Star and a Cleric Sacred Chime.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's a nice one.
And then there's another, but it's just like a lot of bodies just hanging out. And there's our binoculars.
People keep trying to... I like the story the binoculars tell.
Right.
Just getting too close.
It's like he really just wanted to get a different angle of view from like over here, and like,
Man, yeah,
he was up there, just trying to get a good view out, and he just kind of walked forward, which is funny because it is a fun story because like it happened to me in like the last like Dark Souls Let's Play. I looked through the binoculars and it ended up dying a number of times because you get stuck in them and you hit the wrong button to get out, and next thing you know you've like rolled backwards off a cliff or something like that.
Right.
And so that's clearly what happened there. It's a warning. It's like, yeah, here are the binoculars. Guess how he got there.
And also, it's a more obvious story than the clerics. Just like, I wonder what's going on there. Why did that happen?
Yeah, why did that happen? So we got 1,600 more souls. So let's go say what's up to our friend the Emerald Herald. Yeah, gorgeous you ahead. It's true.
Is that a shard you found?
Oh, that's right. Got a shard.
Here, let me see it, so that I may help you. To see light, to see hope, however faint it might be.
Oh, Emerald Herald.
And so,
nice.
Yeah, already off the bat, strength to arm. I like that the Emerald Herald doesn't turn to face you ever. She just keeps like her post, wherever it is.
Always looking out to sea.
So we're gonna
you gonna bump strength up again?
Yeah. Okay. I need to get that to 10, and I need to get Dex to 9. I think is pretty sure what it was. But okay, so that's Majula.
Cool.
We have started our way to a wider world.
We've set up the game.
We have. We've done a lot. We did a lot of work just going through Majula. This has been like 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
It takes a long time if you want to do it right.
And that's the thing, though. Like Majula is that really kind of is a question. Like the last time I did Firelink Shrine, it's the first episode, but I also did the Undead Asylum. There's a whole bunch I did in episode 1. In less time than just like kind of Majula really took us. This is a much kind of more expansive game, and it takes Dark Souls 1 and expands on it, and like,
yep,
we have done that so far, and God, this looks great.
Oh, there's Hyda's Tower of Flame over there, right?
Oh, is that
that it?
Is that Heidi's?
I think.
Heidi's House of Hair and Waffles.
I thought that was the Forest of Giants, but no, I think it is Heidi's House of.
Yeah, Heide's house is, I think, is because we go through there though, but location is weird.
We're doing the thing that we said we wouldn't do.
That's true.
Or I said we wouldn't do. You never have made any claims to not do it, so that was smart.
I just tell you what's in my head.
That's smart. That's so smart.
So there we go. I think.
All right.
I think we did it. I won't bite.
What's that one? Oh, it's like Khmer.
Won't bite. Derby won't bite. But I think that's it for this week. Our first episode of Dark Souls 2. And so
in the books.
Say goodbye from Derby. Trevor, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Hagelbon on Twitter, Hegelbon. You can find my book, Story Mode. I think it's still sold out right now, but hopefully that won't be the case for too long.
Congrats.
Thanks. Yeah, appreciate it. And that's on all booksellers. It sold out because Dia blurbed it.
That's right.
There was a cheat code, but like our friends in the game say, like Malin told us, you gotta use what cheat codes you have. But yeah, and my podcast is called No Cartridge, and also you can find me here weekly. Which is exciting.
Trevor will be back next week with me as we will be going to the Forest of Fallen Giants.
Can't wait.
That's what we'll do next, and it's going to be exciting.
That's hard.
You can find me on Twitter at Dialacina, and you know where these YouTubes are. So Yeah, buy Trevor's book though. I blurbed it. It's good because I blurbed it because it's good. If Trevor was just my friend and his book sucked, I would have found a
You'd
way
have
to
a really
beg off of
awkward
it.
moment. Yeah.
I would just be like, "Oh shit, man, I'm sorry. Like it's been so busy. Like shit, completely slipped my mind. Oh, your book had to go to press already. Fuck, I'm sorry."
Oh, shoot. Ooh.
Yeah, no, but Trevor's book is no mere odyssey through the history of gaming.
Thank you.
And so you should pick that. I do love the other people you have on here. Like it's just like, and like they've written these just massive like really good blurbs, and like you get like Josh Sawyer and David Roth and then Scott Benson and then just fucking me.
Your blurb's so good though. It's like it's the perfect, like, it's the one where I was like, oh, that makes me feel like I nailed it.
The thing is, I wanted to do, you know, one of my favorite blurbs is the Stephen King Clive Barker blurb.
Oh yeah,
That
no,
like launched Clive Barker's career. If you're not familiar, Stephen King wrote of blurbed Clive Barker's book and said, "I have seen the face of horror, or the future of horror. Its name is Clive Barker." And like, that's fucking Kingmaker shit right there. But
that's such a classic. It's so good.
I wanted that kind of douchebag energy for your blurb, for my blurb for you.
It was great.
And
no,
so,
I think you didn't get douchebag energy because you're very nice and good. So that you missed out on. You're not quite the sort of like.
Well, because if I really wanted to go with that, I wouldn't have had the preamble. I wouldn't have the, you know, story mode is no mere odyssey.
Yes,
I would have just said, if you need to understand video games, start here. Start with Strunk.
Exactly.
But I still got to start here. Start with Strunk.
You got it. No, I love that. I love more people have commented on that and said like that rule.
I'm so glad. But yeah, no, if you need to understand video games, go read Trevor's book. It's great. And come back here next week. Sign up on the Patreon. If you don't want to sign up on the Patreon, just subscribe to my YouTube. That's where these will get uploaded, and you will get them. You will get notifications when each new one comes out. And yeah, I am so glad that Trevor is joining me, and I'm so glad that you all are joining me on this journey through Dark Souls 2. Until next time, remember, you have a friend in Majula. It's us.
Friend in Majula.
Bye.